What's up, people? It's your man Chef from Off the Dome back in for another video, and today we're here to talk about the truth lies in the middle. Now, with all this thing with Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, coronavirus and whatnot, we need to realize that the truth is always in the middle, and that no matter what one side or the other side says, we need to take both sides, then try to find some factuality in the middle. Let's address Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. Blue Lives Matter basically started after the 5 cops were killed in Dallas. It's starting to come back now as they're seeing more cops and more, EMTs and firefighters to even get assaulted in these rallies, hurt. Some were killed, unfortunately. And I feel like they are banding together. They want to stand up for themselves. But they do have to understand that All Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter has started off the narrative of them killing people in the streets. So I see why people don't accept it. But the statement is true that cops do matter, and they do need to be praised for the good they do, but called out on the bad they do. The Republican talking point on most cops are good can be said to be true, but the liberal talking point of saying cops are corrupt can also be said as true. So when we come in the middle, we have to say that a lot of departments do have corrupt cops, especially in these big cities, but once you get past the corruption, I say there's a good 60% of good cops. If we can make that 40% of bad cops go down to 20 and then sometimes 10, then corruption could never really end. If we can make the corruption go down, that'd be a great thing. But, however, I can't say that the corruption of cops is exactly their fault, because you have to look at the politicians you have in place that are over these cops. You have to look at the police sheriffs, the city sheriffs, the commissioners. You have to look at all that, the money funneling, the dirty stuff to do behind the scenes. So whenever you talk about the cops, military, or any type of public servants or teachers not being the best equipped or having shady things about them, you have to look at the people who are in charge of those people. When you look at the people in charge, like when you look at LA police, New York police, Chicago police, Milwaukee police, you look at the senators and the representatives who represent that district or city, you realize, I see why the police are corrupt. Look at who are in charge. Next, we have to look at all the posts about how the 4 or 5 black men hung or whatever. Some people say it's suicide, some people say it's lynching. I'm not even going to go into that. I honestly think that could be a backlash starting, or it could be another false flag, because at this point there's so many things they throw at you at once. They point a narrative out, you never know anymore. And all these posts about the Confederate flag, people say they're going to teach their grandkids to be racist. People that are mad because people are so racist after all these scenes. One thing you have to realize is this: if America was so racist back in the days of the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and they raised those kids in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then those kids raised those kids, a generational cycle. So one, BLM, although I think it's pretty much at this point a lost leader, a fake movement, they can't expect racism to change in literally a month of protesting and rioting. This is if they always say it's systematic, and we already say it's oppression for generations, why are they expecting change in literally a month or two? Two is this: what people don't understand is slavery, and just like Jim Crow laws, a lot of Americans is always driven by the money. Racism has a part to do with it, but a lot of it is money. It's classism. A lot of whites didn't own slaves. They said literally 8% of people owned slaves. The majority were wealthy whites and the Jewish and some blacks that were free to own their own slaves. For the most part, most whites sat back and let it happen because it didn't affect them and their families. So they were neutral on slavery. They were neutral on Jim Crow. The businesses and government buildings that did Jim Crow, since the governments were doing it, the local businesses did it. They did Jim Crow and segregation. A lot of them wouldn't even cared for real if the government wasn't opposing it themselves and there wasn't certain rules on the books. So people have to realize this: a lot of white folks aren't racist. They literally don't care. A lot of them will just sit back and let it happen to you because they don't care since that happened to them. That's just truth about it. I know you say if you sit back and let it happen, it's your fault. And that can be true, but think about it like this: if the systems work for you and that person over there is suffering, you and your family's eating, so you're just turning a blind eye to it. You're not really peeping it. So that's the truth about America's racist history and whatnot. It's not that every white person were literally trying to go out to lynch somebody. Not every white person is part of the KKK. The truth is, a lot of them didn't care about if the KKK or Black Panthers existed. A lot of them didn't care if black people were being segregated against. A lot of them cared if they was in slavery. Their household and their family were fine. So that's all that mattered to them. Just like police brutality. I hate to break it to you, a lot of these white folks doing the protests don't really care. It's just something to do since the coronavirus has made everybody bored, stuck in the house, and it's been shown as propaganda. Every major business, I went to Wawa's that day, saw Black Lives Matter solidarity post on a little flash screen while I was ordering my sandwich. It's in your face all the time, so they think they should do it. But the truth is, a lot of heart's not into it. So when people are getting upset that more white people are starting to get away from Black Lives Matter, start going to All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, or stop protesting in general, I don't know how long you expect those white folks to be outside with you. And they never really cared about the movement in the first place. It's just some trend to do. So that's the truth about all these things. A lot of America isn't racist. They don't care what happens to you one way or another. A lot of America, the other percent of Americans are truly want justice and peace and want to keep everything flowing. And then there's 3% of Americans who really do not like minorities or any person of color, or would rather see them off the face of the earth. And then there are some of those races, in my opinion, they really do want you to be here because they can have somebody to blame and somebody to hate on. But to say that every white person's out for you, that's not true. A lot of them just want to live their lives, and a lot of them care what happens to you. And I think that's the attitude black community to take. Yes, we should look out for home, but we need to stop worrying about what white people think about us and do something different. I know there's systematic oppression and whatnot you say from the past, but nowadays it seems like this is a good opportunity for pretty much anyone. You have most of the white liberals in Hollywood. These guys promote the propaganda. So that's one last thing I want to say. If you guys are mad about how America perceives black people, how they portray us, you know that the liberals have been in charge of Hollywood pretty much since the late 70s. There's not much Republican influence, not much Libertarian influence, not much Green Party influence. So if China, the Jews, and the liberals have been in bed with Hollywood for literally 4 or 5 decades, ask yourself why there aren't more black TV shows and movies that came out. Because you guys always talk about how they need to be building black reputation on TV and in movies and in general in commercials. Well, these guys had the keys to the gate. So that's why you shouldn't believe that BLM and any of these movements are truly something real to sink your teeth into. Because when all said and done, it's an election year. What's going to happen in 2021, 2022 when they go back to talk about the Corona Part 2, or they might just go ahead and go at Trump again? And then for the last 3 years, they just been at Trump every day. They talk about LGBTQ rights, and they talk about the police brutality when it happens, and they stop talking about it. So it's not something they do on a daily basis, and they're not going to do it on a daily basis. It's something that's a trending topic, and there's something to do for now. Anyway, this man Chef from Off the Dome. Usually I do a Wednesday wrap-up. I stopped doing it for a while, but I'm just talking about the latest news and stuff, and I'll probably get back at you guys soon. Peace.